Let's be honest. The holidays come wrapped in lights, good food, gifts, good cheer, but it also comes with stress, expectations, financial pressure, family tension, loneliness, and emotional triggers that you didn't ask for.
All of those things, right? And if you're in midlife, juggling career and aging parents and kids and your own internal battles, the holidays can feel like a celebration or more like a marathon or more like that moment when you just want to put your head under the covers and not come out until New Year's. But today we're going to talk to us about how to stay mentally strong, grounded, and joyful and in control during the holidays. Let's talk about it, Wayne.
Let's do it. You found a midlife revolution unleashed, the space to embrace your wisdom, reignite your passions, and move boldly into what's next. I am Coach Wayne, the VIP coach.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We're here with insights, stories, and strategies to fuel your midlife journey. So take a breath, lean in. Your revolution starts now. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I am Coach Stacy. I am a nonprofit professional, a midlife women's coach, a lover of God and his people, and always, always, always overjoyed to be here with my dear co-host, Coach Wayne. Coach Wayne, say good day to the people.
I listen, Stacy. Even on the days that I mess up and get us started off the beat because I can't find my notes, you still enjoy being with me, and that's why I accept you and I love you for it, Stacy. Thank you. Like she said, I am Coach Wayne, the VIP coach, and I work with midlife men as they navigate midlife so that their second half can be their best half. Stacy, it's the holidays. What do we got for the folks? Any gifts, Stacy?
Yes, we have the gift of our presence. We have the gift of good health. We have the gift of friends, family, and we have the gift of this podcast where we get to talk about the midlife richness and be joined by some of the people that we appreciate out there that are part of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed audience. In today's episode, we're going to break down some practical strategies to talk about protecting our mental health during this busy holiday season. Our hope is that you walk away with some tools, some good questions to ask yourselves, maybe some affirmations, a little scripture if that's your jam, and some routines that you can begin to use to make sure that you make it through this holiday season in your right mind. That's what they used to say in the church. In the church, I woke up this morning in my right mind. So we want you to make it through the holiday season in your right mind.
And Stace, I wanted to just add this piece to what you said because when we talk about mental health, sometimes people think or say, I ain't crazy, and therefore this is not about me. But what we're talking about is wellness, the ability to cope and to get through your day and to be functional and to not necessarily avoid stress, but to work through it, anxiety, some depression, to work through it so that you can wind up being functional and have that sense of stability and wellness.
Absolutely. The reality is that for many reasons, the holiday season can be challenging. And we talked a little bit about that in a previous episode. And yet, we didn't really begin to dig deep into the mental health aspect. So often it is a very overstimulating season with the lights and the music, and much of it can be very joyful. And at the same time, a lot of it can feel overwhelming. Then we couple that or layer that with potential loss, whether it be the physical loss of someone, a relationship loss, the loss of your business or your job. So many losses can also be triggered around this time. And the reality is that we have to focus on our mental health, our mental well being during this season so that we're not just out there spending money we don't have, buying presents we can't afford, but so that we're feeling good about who we are, where we are, what we're doing, and how we're moving through this holiday season.
I might add that when we're talking about midlife, it adds an extra layer because you're no longer a runny nose little one, a brat getting through. You're seasoned, and
Hmm.
people expect a higher standard. And so oftentimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves looking at, the end of the year, the holiday season. Uh, have we done it right? Perfectionism. What are others expecting of us? And what are we expecting of ourselves? And so we put ourselves under a lot of pressure. And to your point, you know, when you are in the midlife region, when it comes to relationship, chances are you have developed or broken more relationships than when you were younger. And so,
Hmm.
the season is a season where oftentimes, whether you're religious or not, one thing is for sure, people come together. There's that sense of camaraderie, that sense of community and togetherness. And so, as you can imagine, we put some pressure on ourselves about who we're responsible for. And that can be something we need to learn to deal with.
Yeah, I love that you talked about this pressure to perform, right? This pressure to show up gleefully, this pressure to spend money we might not have, this pressure to maybe we're the person that takes on the additional workload because other people on our jobs or in our businesses have small children. This pressure to perform, and we often have to remind ourselves that it's not us being weak to pay attention to our needs and our rest and our mental health. It is us being human. We are human beings, and we are being human when we pay attention to what it is we need, how we're feeling, and what the season might be triggering for us.
We got to ask ourselves this question too. Who are we trying to satisfy or please? Whose needs we're trying to meet, theirs or ours? And, sometimes we put extra pressure on ourselves. Audrey and I just bought a new home and we moved into the home, and, all the kids are gone and out. And we don't have a chimney. And so I'm not expecting Santa. And I'm not, bottom line is I'm a little bit of a Grinch, and I'm trying to say we didn't need
Mm.
a tree. So the pressure, I thought, was Audrey's, that she had to bake and get the tree and buy presents. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing all that for? Let's just call up folks and say hi. And, she's like, really, Wayne? So again, but for me, why the pressure? And so the question you have to ask yourself, is it normative for you to just do these things, or are you putting extra pressure on yourself, going beyond your budget just because you have to give gifts to every neighbor on the block, for example?
Yeah, don't tell that to my neighbors because they not getting nothing but a hello. Except one neighbor, bless her heart. Every year she drops off just a little something at my front door. It could be a bag of chocolates, something small, just to say thinking of you during the holiday season and wishing you well. And so that means so much more to me than uh, you know, having her spend more money on something I don't need. I think this is a great time for us to begin to ask ourselves a couple of questions. And one could be, where do you feel most stretched during the holidays? Is it your time? Is it your money? Is it responsibilities? Where do you feel most stretched during the holidays?
Yeah. And, what role do you, without thinking, step into as a
Mm,
midlifer in the holiday? Do you think, even if you're not up to it, that you have to go around and drop off stuff, to your point, at the neighbors just because? Those are things that you got to give yourself a true check in on to see if you can alleviate some of the extra duress that you may be dealing with in terms of the mental, right?
absolutely, absolutely, and we know in the Christian faith that there's a whole conversation out there really about Christian Christmas, and does it really belong in the Christian faith and the paganism, and we're not here to discuss all of that. What we are here to acknowledge is that this season, however you engage in the season, whatever you believe in the season, can be a lot. And so our hope is that you're hearing what we're saying and not necessarily focusing on the Christmas or the Hanukkah or the Kwanzaa, or that you're really saying, okay, this season, you can't go to the grocery store without experiencing this season. And so I will remind us, right, that from a spiritual standpoint, our faith is there to be a rock, and the Lord is saying, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest."
Yeah, yeah. I want to welcome the listeners, viewers on Facebook. We have Diana, and I'm seeing that there's some activity out there as well on LinkedIn. So thank you for making this Thursday one that you share with us on Midlife Revolution Unleashed.
Yes, I love what Diana says here. Giving is okay as long as you have the means. Even if it's small, it shows you care about someone. It's about the thought. That just reminds me, right? It's like the thought that matters. It is the thought that matters. Because
Yeah.
nowadays, one of the beauties of being in this season is, thank God, we usually don't need much. And if we are in a position of need, our hope is that our community, right, is supporting the meeting of those needs. If we don't really need anything from the department store, from Amazon, that's a whole nother conversation. The reality is that it's a great opportunity to acknowledge and begin to look for the needs of others and how we can help them. And that might help us in our own mental health. But I'm off topic now, Wayne.
No problem. And I'm mindful that we have half of the show already under the belt, but I did want to mention one thing to Diana as we move into point two, and that is she's mentioned give something, even a small gift. And I would say that perhaps we should challenge that, because are we putting ourselves under pressure to believe that as a truth?
Well, I love that positioning. From what Diana said, she was the way I received it was she was saying, like, no, giving is okay as long as you have the means. Now, she didn't say giving is mandatory, but to your point earlier of how many of us are putting on ourselves the pressure to perform, you are then absolutely right. We don't have to conform to what everyone else is doing if it's not in alignment with our own time, our own values, our own wallet, our own peace.
Yep. Stacey, one of the things that I have found to be very helpful for me is quiet time. That I think is something that we all can add to especially this time of year, creating boundaries. We don't have
Mhm.
to be at every Christmas party. We don't have to show up at every dinner event. And even if we're home and we have folks buzzing in and out, we can get away. Like I'm building a man's cave just for that, Stacy, so I can get away and close those doors every so often. Quite time.
You're absolutely right. And we get to decide. And you mentioned, kind of the time. I think we want to really take some time with this subject because we're not talking enough about our mental health during this season. And so I'm going to do a little pushing and say, we're going to take our time, and hopefully those that are listening live, watching live, if you can't stay the whole time, you come on back, check us out, podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. But we want you to feel encouraged, empowered, and given permission to take the time you need to acknowledge and address your mental health, your how you feel about you and who you are, where you are at this time of year. You mentioned, Wayne, that quiet time and those boundaries. And I think that's one of our biggest stressors, right? We get into this season and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the grocery store because, I'm cooking for 10 people and I still work or have a business to run. And, there's either some elder care involved, some young people care, somebody needs to get home, somebody needs a bus ticket, somebody needs something, right? We still want to take some time to watch our favorite Hallmark movie or Lifetime movie or BET Plus movie. And we feel this pressure around our personal time. And that is one of our biggest stressors. So when you talk about boundaries and quiet time, just reminding ourselves that we want to pay attention to, how we're feeling about our time, how we're managing our time. Maybe to your point of boundaries, there are some opportunities to say no, like you said. Now, I didn't get many invites to any holiday parties this year, but that's okay. I didn't have to say no to any, but there are things you might be able to say no to give yourself more personal time.
I wonder, you today had a Christmas event for your police business. So I wonder, how do we push back on those? And do we ever say no to, I'm saying one that's outside of the office, getting together to have drinks after work? Do we ever push back on those? Because a lot of people will work for you and work with you, but they don't want to be with you outside of work.
But they don't want, I'm sorry, you caught me off guard with that last part, but they don't want to be with you. They'll work with you, they'll talk to you, they'll, smile and even have lunch with you, but they don't want to be with you after work. I think that goes back to, one of the things about being in this season of life is that we have to remind ourselves that we have the permission to decide. Our boundaries are not just around the holiday time, but they can even be maybe amplified or thickened during the holiday time. Um, Diana says, this year, I have really created boundaries. I really say no to a lot. But again, she said, I think it's my Virgo trends or personality. The reality is that I bet you, as you say no or create those boundaries, they're so important. You begin to really create space and utilize the time to do things that are more meaningful to you, which boost your mental health. Would you agree,
Yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would
Yeah.
suggest that we affirm that I honor my need for rest
Hmm.
and my peace comes first.
That's right. I love that we have to honor our need for rest and peace. So here are some questions. Where can you build 5, 10, 15 minutes of solitude into your day? That's not into your week, but into your day.
And what do you need to stop apologizing for?
Ooh, and what boundary, even one boundary, would protect your mental health this season? Whew, those are some good coaching questions there, Coach Wayne.
Yeah. And let's move on and share this other tip, and that is create an inner peace routine, even when there's noise outside, when life is loud. Create your own sanctuary.
Yeah, I love this one because it's something that we can all do. We don't need to buy anything. We don't need to go anywhere. We don't need to ask anyone. Um, really taking a few minutes, just as we just talked about, um, to go for a quick walk or, to say a prayer. Let me tell you, when I get to my brother's house, we have a great time. But trust and believe, there are a few times that it gets a little heated and I just have to step away and ask the Lord for a little strength, a little patience, and a little bit more joy even in that moment. So, those few moments of prayer for me certainly help.
Yeah. Find your a grounding ritual that you can use to kind of pull yourself back
Mhm.
and step away and step inside and give yourself that breathing space. And speaking of breathing space, one thing that you can do as an exercise is to just slow down and take some breath, square breathing.
Mm,
Four
mhm,
seconds in, four breath in, hold it for 4 seconds, and exhale for four. And you might want to double that up, eight, eight,
mhm,
eight, however fit you are with your lungs, and just allow yourself time to get some oxygen in and exhale and hold the peace.
mhm. I feel a little bit more peaceful already. Thank you so much for that, Coach Wayne. I could not agree with you more. In a previous episode, we talked about, I think I referenced kind of the daily self check-in, and we'll make sure that access to that worksheet is in the show notes for today's episode, because it really is just that reminder to check in with yourself daily, and even multiple times a day during this holiday season, um, and whether it be through that breathing, through a prayer, through those micro practices, to really just touch base with yourself and see where you are, what you need, and what opportunities are there to really just foster, to build, to support your mental health. And I'll offer a grounding prayer. God, settle my spirit, center my mind, and guard my heart.
Mm-mm-mm.
Just that simple.
Just that simple, Stace.
Just that simple.
Stace, I want to offer another tip, and that
Mm-hmm.
is to keep what normally works.
Mm,
Routine tends to give us a sense of stability. And though we have a different schedule, many of us during the holidays, usually, well, if you're off and on a break, it could be less hectic, but at the same time, it could be more so. So I would say that it's important to recognize that the holidays are temporary. They will come, but they will go. And so you want to make sure that if you normally go for a walk the dog in the morning, in the afternoon, exercise, don't
mm-hmm.
get so rushed and caught up in the frenzy of the season that you lose yourself and lose those routines and lose your stability. You start feeling off balance. You know what I mean, Stace? Walking down the
Yes.
road on one side because you're not so balanced.
Lean to the left. Yeah, I agree with you. One of the reasons that part of child rearing or raising a child, um, kind of routine is a very important part, right? And we find that when we are children, we need that structure and that consistency. And it is one of the things that helps our children get into that routine and kind of understand the cadence, know the patterns, what to expect, um, and it begins to make them feel safe. And so, just because we're older now doesn't mean that some of those beginning principles don't apply. So, to your point of maintaining or reconnecting with your routine, sometimes it gets away from us. But recognize that the routine has maybe gone a little astray, and there's a great opportunity to bring it back, to bring back some of that normalcy, the things that help you feel safe and stable.
And when you have a conversation with thyself, just
Mm.
say, my routines keep me grounded. So keep them on your calendar, book them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's shift to yet another tip, uh, dealing with family expectations and the emotional labor that comes from that. Let's talk about that, Stacy.
I love the term emotional labor, because often you're not only dealing with your own emotions during the holiday, um, but because of life circumstances, you may be taking on the weight or the labor of others' emotions in your family. And so as I think this one is really resonating with me, because as I prepare to go to spend time with family and acknowledging the fact that this is the first year without our mom, that there might be some emotional labor there, right? And I feel like I'm good, and yet when we're all together, someone may be a little less good at the moment than the other, right? And so dealing with ourselves, with the expectations of ourselves, the expectations of others, and that emotional labor is something that I'm glad that we're talking about and really putting words to and voice to, because it is important for all of us to just recognize that it happens. We all know dealing with we all got some crazy family and stuff like that, but really dealing with the weight of the emotions and the expectations, that sometimes come with the holidays, I think is critical.
So this is one show I hope my family in-laws aren't listening to, because my wife has a member of her family that shouldn't be offering to buy gifts for folks because he doesn't have the gift resources. But
Okay.
he comes over and sort of hints at all the people that he needs to deliver gifts to. And since he's been doing this for a while, my wife feels like it's kind of her responsibility to make sure that happens. That's emotional labor. And that's baggage, if you ask me. And my recommendation is to just chuck it and forget about it. But Audrey, as sweet as she is, she wants to take it on. Um, I would say we have to recognize, especially because midlife, she's older, and sometimes with that midlife, people that are elderly or even not yet at the midlife have a sense of it falls in the middle. So you're responsible for it.
Mm,
We take it on. And I'm saying, don't. You don't have to.
you can't be responsible, for fixing everything. You can still be loving and caring and kind You just can't be responsible for fixing everything.
Yeah.
And that's something I think that so many of us uh, have to remind ourselves of, especially during the holidays. Sometimes, we have that sentimental spot where we really just want to see others happy, others at peace. And I could imagine, not knowing these family members, I could imagine that some of it is just like, no, I want to see this person happy. I want to see this person not stressed or whatever it is. And so just these reminders that we get to decide, and we get to be reminded that we can be loving without being responsible for fixing everything, and that it's okay to leave some conversations, some invitations, and some emotional expectations at
Yeah.
the door.
And tip number 6, find some affirmations, emotional strength, and internal wins. When I do my work as both a coach, and recently I started doing the therapeutic end as well, Stacy. And when I'm there working with folks, I start off, whether it's a group or an individual. One of the things I ask people is, what was your big win since we last
Mm,
met?
mm-hmm,
And even if it's tiny, we all have a win. And relative to the darkness we may be experiencing, then that's a big win. So
mm-hmm,
I would say during these times, in terms of, there are various things. I'm actually in a group where about 3 of the men that are in the group are going through losses: 2 divorce, and in the middle of it, and 1 a loss in terms of a physical loss, death.
mm-hmm,
And it's a lot of strain, and it comes up, Stacy, more so it's like magnified during the holidays. And so when we're talking about what's going on for each other and for us, and we're going around the circle, I know likely what's going to come. And so my first question is, hey, can you share a great win, or a win, even a small one, that has happened since we last met? And they go searching and asking the questions for positive possibilities and
mm.
for, wins.
Wayne, I love that you highlighted the celebration of wins, because it is something that we, um, and I'll say the royal we in this midlife community, is something that we don't do regularly. If we do it, many of us don't do it regularly. And the celebration of the win, is so important to our mental health. Just acknowledging, yes, it may not have gone the way I thought it would go, but it went.
Mhm.
Right. And that's a win. It was done. That's a win. I'm still standing. That's a win. And celebrating those small wins is so important, especially during the holidays. Even as you go through the holiday gatherings, friends, family, or maybe you are enjoying the holidays, you and your cat,
Hmm.
you get to decide that I'm going to acknowledge that there's something to celebrate today. And
Mhm.
even if that's, I'm acknowledging the fact that I'm breathing, I'm here, and I'm moving forward. That's a win.
Yeah. Stacy, shall we segue into the homework, telling folks what we would like or expect of them? Because, by the way, we're coaches. It's just a thing we do. Uh, shall we, Stace?
Sure, we shall.
Okay. So let me start off with saying, tell someone, anyone, one thing that you need that will keep or maintain your peace
Mm,
this holiday.
mm, I'm resonating on that, because I think that not only to tell someone, I would simply add, write it down.
Hmm.
Because when you write it down, something shifts within you. when you write it down, it is also something that you can be reminded of. So I would add, write it down.
Hmm.
And as you're writing, you can write one personal affirmation or declaration, something that you want to be reminded of, something that you want to stand on. I choose peace and presence today. Whatever that affirmation or declaration is, write that down while you're writing.
And I say, the last one I got is what's the boundary that
Mm,
you can create for yourself this holiday to protect your space, your time, and your peace?
I love it. I think that as we look to close this episode, creating that quiet time will help you identify what the boundary or boundaries are, will help you identify what that those affirmations might be, and that one thing you want to make sure someone is very clear on. Our goal is to make sure that you feel empowered, that you feel seen, that you feel heard. I'm going to go with, I choose peace even in the midst of chaos.
Mm. I want folks to remember that your joy is an inside job
Ooh,
and it's not to be put on someone else. You got to do it yourself.
I love that. Your joy is an inside job. Coach Wayne, I
Yes, ma'am.
know that the people know how to reach you, whether it be through the show notes or through the DMs. But why don't you just spend a minute talking about your assessment, which I have just been hearing some phenomenal things about?
Yeah, and it's going to be in the show notes. So thank you, Stacey.
Absolutely.
So I do a free self-assessment to anyone who wants, especially this time of year, moving into the
Mm,
new year, who wants to really look at where they are along their journey, no matter what. And by the way, it's open for women too, Stace. But wherever you are, it's an assessment that really helps you to look at your alignment with your sense of self, self concept, self esteem, identity. It helps you to look at, are you on target in terms of doing the things that you are called to do, your purpose?
mm,
And it helps
mhm,
you to make sure that your belief system is intact and serving you. Sometimes we're living with a belief system that was created when we were 7 years old and it doesn't serve us anymore. And Stace, once people do this alignment, it is so telling that you're drawn with a aha and
mm.
must do something about it. And you're not obligated to, but if you want it to be broken down even more finely, you can give me that call and we'll meet. So grab the assessment. It's free.
I love it. I will also put in the show notes. I just released a 5-day coaching audio and worksheet packet called "Unhide Your Confidence," and it's such a gift that we can give ourselves during this season, and even as we look forward to the new year, to look at how any aspect of a lack of confidence might be holding us back, and how we can really begin to unhide. It's there. The confidence is there. Confidence is not something that you're born with or you're not. Confidence is like exercising a muscle, right? It's really growing it, is strengthening it. So I will make sure that that is in the show notes as well. It's called Unhide Your Confidence. I've gotten some really great feedback from those that have already engaged in the program. So I look forward to sharing it with our listenership.
I'm loving it, Stace. I may have to steal it from you.
Come on now. You just borrow. You don't have to steal. You good.
That's right. Stacy, we topped up a little bit today because there's such an important topic that we
Yeah.
were on. And I'm happy that I was able to do it with you, my friend, my partner. And
My brother, my friend, my
yeah,
partner.
yeah.
I want to say to those that celebrate, we want to wish you a joyous holiday season. To those that are just celebrating being alive, we want to wish you a joyous life. We may not be back live next week, but you can always catch Midlife Revolution Unleashed wherever you grab your podcast. Wayne, I don't know about you, but I'm cheering you on.
And Stacy, as always, I'll see you at the top.
Thanks for tuning in to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. We're grateful you're part of this journey.
If you love this episode, share it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.